Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you along here on a ride along with the Mighty Gator Unleashed. Coming at you on a Saturday morning, February the 4th, 2023. Um, got a few things I want to mention here on the channel this morning. Some thought process into revolvers versus semi-automatic pistols. Um, Also, some other things that just is unfolding right before our eyes in this disgusting world that we live in, especially America. The price of eggs is just it's just unbelievable. If somebody in I don't know, let's say July the 9th, 2020, would have come along and told me on a Saturday morning when I was at Walmart picking me up a dozen eggs for $1.49, if somebody would have told me that same dozen eggs was going to be $6.49 on February the 4th, 2023, well, I'd have laughed at them. Um, Eggs has been dirt cheap forever. I mean, they've never changed that I know of. The price of eggs has always been around $1.50. Now, I'm a guy that just happens to love scrambled eggs. I really got into the big debate. Remember when they told us that they all of a sudden they come out, this has been years ago, they come out and told us eggs was bad for us. Y'all remember that? Don't eat eggs. Just we're saying a word for you. If you eat eggs, you're going to have cholesterol problems. You're just going to have all these health problems if you eat eggs. Now they've since flipped that back the other way, and now they're saying again that eggs are good for you. Regardless, today we're sitting here and eggs have gone up. Let's see, from $1.50 to $6.50. What is that? $1.50 to $6 would be 400%. So the price of eggs have gone up over 400%. In reality, probably about a year, maybe just a hair over a year. Um, so that's a little bit disturbing. And then I'm watching Candace Owens yesterday. Candace Owens is someone that I really one of my favorites. She was against the vaccine. I was against the vaccine. Donald Trump was for the vaccine. If you remember, Donald Trump was always encouraging you to get vaccinated. He wasn't for forcing the vaccine. There's a huge difference in saying you would like for everybody to be vaccinated versus the Democrats making it law that you had to get vaccinated and allowing places of business to require you to be vaccinated or be terminated from your job, which is what happened with our nurses right in the middle of a nursing shortage, as well as my son, who works at a call center in London, Kentucky. And now he terribly regrets getting that shot. It pisses me off that he had to get it, which I encouraged him to just quit his job. But he's a pretty ambitious kid, and he likes his job. Really rare thing today that a 20-year-old kid likes to work. Of course, he's 22 now, but anyway, another whole story. And these things I've said so far. YouTube creators and you weak, fragile, college-educated, woke people out there that may somehow be offended by anything I've said. Let me be very clear. This is not an opinion, what I've said so far. This is all facts. But now I will have some opinions on here in the upcoming moments of my video. And of course, YouTube has the power. We're not allowed to talk about things in our society today, which that alone should tell you a lot. We're not allowed to talk about things such as elections or the origins of COVID, mandates, things of that nature. We're just not allowed to talk about it. If we do, we are labeled as a misinformationist or a election denier or whatever, or maybe just a deplorable. You know, that's the world we live in today. And YouTube, they own this. They can take this off here if they want to, and if they have at it, I don't give a shit. YouTube. At the same time, I get up this morning and it's sunny out, 13 degrees, or no, maybe it was 16 degrees. It's pretty freaking cold here in London, Kentucky. And I'm always in a good mood. I always bounce up. I'm healthy. I feel good, and just many things to be thankful for. If you've got your health, you've got many things to be thankful for. And you should try every day to think about that. I mean, just get up and if you feel good, get up and just do some stretching and just think how good it feels to be able to do that. And perhaps it'll make you have a little bit better day. But regardless, I made a fatal mistake this morning when I got up. I lollygagged around some, done a little arranging and cleaning, But I picked my phone up and I decided I was going to glance through Twitter. Now, I'm not a social media guy. I just am not. I recently got a Twitter account. I had a Twitter account a long time ago. Never was into it. But I signed back on for the first time in years when Elon Musk took over Twitter. Just seemed like a thing to do. I wanted to see what was going on. This morning I made the mistake of turning on Twitter, and the first thing I see is a probably 15-year-old black boy absolutely brutally beating the hell out of a 9-year-old white girl on the school bus. And I just immediately went on by it. There was no escaping this video. It was on everybody's feed. So then I finally clicked on it and read some about it, and the school board said there's nothing they can do. They can't bring any charges against this black kid, this one boy in particular, but there were several kids. They beat this girl far worse than the video I watched of the guy, what was his name, Tyler, the guy in Memphis. This video is far more disturbing. I mean, it's not even close. It is a million times more disturbing than the video of what we saw of those police officers beat that guy to death. And that was pretty freaking bad in its own. I guess maybe it's just the kids factor and then this pure size and age difference. But what really tops it off is the school system has told the parents there's nothing they can do. No charges will be brought. This is according to Charlie Kirk, the Hodgson twins, at least 7 or 8 more people that are into this Twitter stuff. I don't know any facts on this story. I'm just telling you what I saw on Twitter this morning from several people, and I don't know where their facts come from as far as the school system not being able to charge the kid with anything. And of course they're saying it was because he was black. So because I chose to flip Twitter on this morning, put me in a pissed off mood. We the people should completely do away with Facebook. We should completely do away with Twitter. I don't have a Facebook. I got rid of Facebook years ago. It's no good. It's no good. This is my opinion. Let me be clear about that. This is my opinion. If we would, first of all, I don't know what it is about social media. Do these people make money if they get followers? What is the attraction to being popular on social media? I just don't understand it. I mean, I've always liked YouTube because, I like music, I like firearms, I like tanks, I like world history. I mean, I like United States, USA history, American history. There's so many things that I am just deeply interested in and passionate about, and just about anything you're interested in, you can get on YouTube, and you can really just learn a ton of gain a ton of knowledge about anything that you may have a passion for. So that's my reason for being on YouTube. I mean, I just enjoy that. But these social media things are different than that. It's just people making little short posts and they're getting likes, and evidently they get money for this. I don't know. I don't know these things, guys. I'm not a modern guy. I work. Yesterday I was at work before 6 and I was there till after 5:30. That's what I do almost every day, except Saturday and Sunday. Very seldom I work on a Saturday, and hardly never work on a Sunday. But regardless, I live most of my life without any of this social media stuff. Why do I need it now? I was telling my kids the other day about a guy I used to work with who was older. This is when I was a teenager and then just got into the working world. The guy that I worked with would always get the sports section. We had to be to work at 7 o'clock. We worked at a hardware store, plumbing, heating and cooling, and electrical. Plus we sold bathroom fixtures and lighting fixtures. And at this point in my life, at that time in my life, I hated it all. Every day I wanted to be somewhere else. At this point in my life, I would love to go back and just have that job right now and do what I'd done then. I knew everybody in the community. I loved everybody. Everybody knew me. It was just a blast in reality, looking back on it. But when you're 18 years old, the world certainly looks different. But anyway, back to my story I was telling my kids about. One of the guys I worked with, he was older and he loved sports. You know, we all did. Every morning he would always get the newspaper, drag the sports section out, and run to the shitter. And he'd stay in there all morning. Well, I was telling my kids about it and how, we used to kind of rib him over it. And then they was like, the sports section, they was puzzled. They didn't even really understand what I was talking about. And me being me, slow and dense, I didn't realize that they really have never dealt with a newspaper or nothing, Now people go to the bathroom, they take their phone, and they go through all their social media. They look at all this stuff. Some people play games. Everybody's different. Social media, though, is just dominating all aspects of life. But it's just, I thought about that, We had that one newspaper at the store every morning, and everybody wanted to look at the sports section before this one coworker took it to the bathroom. Today, just look how much the world has changed since then. We're talking about the mid-90s. We're talking about 25 years ago. Here we are today, everybody, and at that point in my life, I never had a cell phone. When I went and got in my truck, if I drove on a 140-mile trip, I never had no means to get a hold of anyone unless I stopped somewhere and used a payphone. You remember payphones? It was a million times better world. Now, yeah, you may pick up the paper and look through there, and you might see a story about somebody getting in a fight or somebody being beaten up or murdered or something like that. But it was very rare. Today, it's on everything. It's just everything you look at. Instagram, all you see is people fighting. These people that are so passionate about their politics, and I think we should be involved in politics. I do not think we should be in any way we should not pledge any allegiance to either party. I mean, these parties are pathetic. My opinion, YouTube, let me be very clear. We're on opinion mode here. The Democratic Party, in my opinion, has been infested and completely overtaken for decades now by the enemies of America. It's my opinion. If I can't say that, remove it. But I'm going to say it. And if I can't say it on your channel, you're going to have to remove it. If I can't say that on your platform. I believe that the Democratic Party was infested decades ago. Joe Biden, the ringleader, by the enemies of the United States of America. And I believe today it's to the point that probably 40% of the Republicans are owned by the enemies of America. Now, where does that put we the people? We're in a bad spot, aren't we? I don't think there's no pretty way to get out of this. Voting, we hear people talk about term limits. I am for term limits, but not for the right reasons. We have term limits through elections. Every election, every 2 years, we have the opportunity to remove a poor congressman. Every 6 years, we have the opportunity to remove a bad senator. So we have term limits if we, the people, exercise those rights, but we haven't done it. Now it's to the point to where we've allowed mail-in voting, and COVID was behind that. I also believe, my opinion, that COVID was designed and unleashed on we the people for many purposes to achieve political power. It's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Don't believe I am, though, but I hope I'm wrong. I mean, anything I say, if you break it down, is totally logical. I'm always talking about follow the money and you'll find the villain. How much money has Big Pharma made because of COVID in the last 3 years? Trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars. Each of them. Johnson & Johnson's, Moderna, and Pfizer. Each of them have made trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars because of COVID. If you think people won't do terrible things for money and power, I think you're very naive. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Nothing more. Just an opinion of an old Eastern Kentucky mechanic. But anyhow, all these social media outlets, all they do is they promote this stuff. And we have people, going back to the allegiance to their parties, we have this Republican, George Stanos or something is his name, who's evidently a pretty big liar. I recently ran into someone I know that I don't see very often, and they kind of throw this up to me, that this guy, a Republican who's such a liar. And I just got to thinking about it. I didn't say nothing. I'm tired of arguing, fighting with these people. I didn't say nothing, but I was thinking to myself, he's probably on a pretty good path to become president of the United States. If he's that good of a liar, we've got the biggest liar in the history of mankind. There's never been a creature on this earth take a breath of air that's as much of a blatant, pathological liar as Joe Biden. That's just, I could do a video for 24 straight hours and go over the things he's lied over in the last 5 years. If we went back his entire 50-year career of being in power in this country, not to mention the same 50 years that this nation has declined, like no nation has ever declined in the history of time. America has declined in the last 50 years that much, in my lifetime. Really sad time to be born, 1970 was. The 80s was great as far as our music and culture was still cool and stuff, but we was not involved in politics. I say we the people was not involved in politics. Less than 30% voter turnout for presidential elections, state and local elections, far less than that. That's why we are where we are. Misinformation was probably not such a big problem back then, and influence and this allegiance. But what I was touching on with Stanos, this person that's a Democrat, they can see when a Republican who is their enemy, that's their enemy. That's how these people are. Once you buy into this allegiance to a party, the other side is your enemy, and they're constantly looking for anything to bash on their opposition. So because this guy Stanos is a Republican, this person totally devastated, totally stunned and appalled by their existence in every way, giving them down the road, totally turns a blind eye to the daily lies that Joe Biden tells. Don't mean nothing to them. It doesn't mean nothing to them whatsoever. Nothing. Now, on the other hand, I'm a registered Republican. I used to be a Democrat, and I changed while Bill Clinton. When I first got into politics and started watching the first presidential debate I ever watched was between Bill Clinton and Bob Dole. And I was sitting there all geared up I just knew I was going to love everything Bill Clinton said. I was astonished. I was just like, what in the world, is this guy for? I mean, how can this guy be for taking away gun rights, abortion rights, federal tax dollars for abortion rights? No guns on military bases, which that was actually implemented by his predecessor George Bush Sr. But Clinton took it like 25 steps farther. Anyhow, my point being, I had no allegiance to the Democratic Party. I just was a kid, grew up, and decided I was going to be a Democrat because everybody in my family was. And I didn't care about politics like nobody else did until the mid to late 90s. That's just the way we was raised. The culture was fantastic, but we, the people, was not responsible. And here we are, 40 years later or 30 years later, whatever. We're in a bad shape, guys. We're paying $6.49 for a dozen eggs. We've got balloons from China flying over the country, surveilling. And our president just won't even say nothing. We have that we know of, well over 6.2 million, and a complete and total invasion of our southern border. Over 6.2 million people have flooded into this country in less than 2 years under this current administration, who ran on open borders, who promised on his first day in office he would sign an executive order saying that anyone that got in here would not be deported. He said that they would not be deported. For 90 days, there would be no deportations for 90 days. If you can get in here, you're set. You're done. Now they've started busting them to New York and these other places. And there's just now, it's taken 2.5, 3 years for the media to even start touching on it. You talk to people who voted for and support Joe Biden, they don't even say there is a problem at the border crisis. And you can say that if you're on the East Coast and you're not faced with these people every day. But now that they're spreading out, it's starting to become obvious. 6.2 million people is a lot of people. That's that we know of. And then you run into these people who was against the wall, and they're just like trying to imply that the wall was ridiculous. Of course, they didn't say this back when Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all the Democrats was for a wall in 2013. They didn't say this stuff then. They was fine with the wall. But when Donald Trump was actually serious about building a wall and securing the southern border, which he did by simply enforcing the current laws that was already on the books, then they all of a sudden was offended by a wall. And then I heard comments like, and I let a lot of stuff go because I'm not really very confrontational. I try not to be, because it does no good. You're wasting your time talking to these people. But a girl I went to school with told me, the wall is only 16 foot tall. Well, I reckon that's what that wall is that they was building out there. And the material is just laying there. They've stopped it, and the material's laying there going to waste. They won't even sell it. She said, all they got to do is pack an extension ladder over there and prop it up and go right over it. That's all they got to do. You're just sitting there like, and then her husband's pitching in. Oh, yeah, I'll never forget he used the term crybaby Trump. Hilarious. How many of these illegal immigrants that we see coming through the freaking desert and crossing rivers and just the terrain they're going through is unreal. They've got nothing but the clothes on their back. How many of those people can run down to Lowe's and buy a fucking, pardon my language, can buy a freaking extension ladder, pack it to that wall, and realistically you'd have to have two of them. You'd have to have one on this side to get up, and then when you're up there looking down 16 foot, unless you sprout wings, you ain't going to be able to jump that. A lot of these people, the media is always quick to point out how a lot of these people are old and they're women and they're children and they're sick. Okay, so that just more emphasizes they're not going to be able to withstand a 16-foot fall. Therefore, they got to pack two extension ladders through the desert. Is there a Lowe's over there in Mexico? I've never been to Mexico. I don't know. Maybe there is. Are they going to pack we saw the one video when Joe Biden they was waiting for Joe Biden to take over office. And remember the big, what they call it? It was a convoy of people all the way from South America, stretched for hundreds of miles. Maybe there was a Lowe's down there or something other. But we didn't see any of them people packing extension ladders, did we? Right, of course, they don't need extension ladders now. They just come any way they can get through. There was a guy that used to do videos. His name was Ben something. He would go and sneak around on the border with his little camera crew and film them coming in. And every now and then have a little confrontation. There was no trouble. All this time that this was happening, the Biden administration was saying, no, there are no illegals entering. And he said it yesterday. Joe Biden said yesterday, they're not getting into the country, he said. Then he turned around and said, we're sending them back. If you just listen to him, his lies are obvious. But the people who are bashing George Stanos, they don't care a bit about Joe Biden lying. Don't care a bit. Now, if George Stanos switched to a Democrat, they won't care about him. That's what we're dealing with. Nothing else matters. Their party is more important than their God, their mothers, their fathers, their children, anything. Nothing else matters to these people. That's where we are, guys. I advise everybody to drop all social media. Man, I'm on 24 minutes here. Tell you what, I was going to do a little touch on revolvers versus semi-automatic pistols, but I'm not going to. It's just I ain't got enough time. I'm just going to let this go like it is, and I've ranted and carried on here a little bit. I apologize if I sound crazy. I don't really think I'm crazy, but if anybody is crazy, how would they know it? I mean, would they know it? Would they acknowledge that? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, revolver, semi-auto. I've always been a semi-auto guy, and this is a very good concealed carry semi-automatic pistol. But as of late, I've really taken more interest in a good old wheel gun. And look at there. Old Gator's handling a loaded firearm on his channel. Lord have mercy, boy, somebody put him in jail. He's handling a loaded firearm. He's not practicing safety. Guys, and I do say that if you're doing a gun review, if you're doing a YouTube channel and reviewing a gun, yeah, you need to unload that firearm and triple check it, make sure it's unloaded. I'm not doing a gun review currently. These are my guns that's here in my home that I will go to if I'm invaded or somebody tries to rob me or bring harm to us here in my home. They don't do me one bit of good if they ain't loaded. So yeah, they're loaded. They're loaded. My kids, they've been around these guns since they was born. One of them's about to turn 17. The other one's 22. About to turn 23. They're 22 and 16. They're about to be 23 and 17. These guns, they've never shot nobody. They've never jumped up and run off and hid. Now, if they have friends come over or something, sometimes I will move a gun away from out in more obvious locations. You know, you got to be smart. You got to be logical enough to understand that maybe people that come into your home don't really understand anything about guns. So, yeah, in situations like that, I have places I put guns and hide them and lock them up and stuff. But me, here on a Saturday morning, I've got a gun right by my side all the time. But anyway, guys, everybody have a great weekend. I'm going to do another video here in a few minutes. I'm just ready to roll this morning. I've made the mistake of looking on Twitter this morning. It's got to go. Got to get rid of all that stuff, guys. Pray for our country. Pray for all of our people. Don't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter. Everybody's the same. We're all the same. We just got different paint, different hair color, different eyes, different heights, weights, builds. I mean, we're all the same inside, guys. There's no difference. Nothing dictates your nature but who you are. It has nothing to do with what you look like. But guys, let's pray for. We need lots of prayers, guys. The country does. If you believe in God, pray to your gods, guys. Anyway, catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.